Welcome to the Gita in Action podcast. My name's Radha, and I'm here with a family of seekers, and we're reading through the Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse, this ancient wisdom text that is still very relevant to our lives today. It's really transforming our hearts. We've been together here for about a year and a half now, going through the Gita, and we're about halfway through. Today we're going to start with chapter 9, text 18 is where we're starting. Chapter 9, text 18. So we're right in the heart of the Gita, right in the bhakti section, where Krishna is really kind of revealing his personal form. So with that, we'll get right into it. Janardhan, thank you so much for volunteering to say the prayers for us today. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever you're ready.
Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutare, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminite Namane, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane, Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya Sitarane. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bando Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyayeva Cha Paritanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Guru Bhakta Vrinda.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are starting again, chapter 9, text 18. I will share my screen. And whenever you're ready, Stella.
Gatir Bharata Prabhu Saksi Nivasa Sharanam Surit Prabhava Pralayasthanam Nityanam Bijam Avyayam. I didn't do it too good today. Okay. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed.
Very nice. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. So Krishna's really expanding our vision in this verse. He says, I am the goal. I am the sustainer. I am the witness. I am the shelter. I am your dearest friend. Everything begins from me and everything ultimately returns to me. So it's his way of saying, everything you're searching for, it's actually already in me. And in this world, we look for that. We look for someone to guide us, people to support us, to understand us, to protect us. We look for a home, a place where we feel safe. We look for love, a person who feels like our person. So it's so reassuring here. Krishna is saying he's all of that, but in a perfect and permanent form. And here he's also explaining his unique nature as God. When we create something, we get exhausted. When we become parents, we age and we weaken over time. You know, when we give ourselves to others, we can feel drained. This is just the nature of our material bodies. But Krishna, he expands into unlimited souls, unlimited universes, unlimited miracles, and he never loses anything. He never gets depleted. He never gets tired. He never stops being the source. He remains whole and complete. So when we're feeling like on top of the world, when we're feeling super powerful and in control. And we should just remember this. We are nothing compared to Krishna. Even if you have quite a large capacity, it's nothing compared to Krishna. And this is so humbling. And it reinforces even our dependence on Krishna. And this is where it becomes real for us. You know, we may receive kindness from people, love, shelter, but we should understand that Krishna is the one working through their hearts. And this is so beautiful. And Srila Prabhupada demonstrated this really beautiful. There's a story I like. I'll share. He was on Srila Prabhupada's journey to America. He was on this ship. It was a long voyage, and most people on the ship were eating meat. Yet the owner of the ship arranged plenty of grains and vegetables for him, for Prabhupada. And in his diary, he wrote, "Thank you, Lord Krishna, for enlightening the heart of the ship's owner to make these arrangements." So he just always had spiritual vision. He didn't just see a helpful person, he saw Krishna's love expressed through that person. And this is really devotional vision. We appreciate the people who help us. Absolutely. We appreciate the people who help us. But we also appreciate the one who inspires them to help us. So when the doctor treats us, we thank the doctor. We're grateful. But we also thank Krishna for guiding the doctor's hands. And when a friend supports us, we thank the friend. But we also see Krishna's love coming through them. So this verse invites us into this deeper way of seeing. Krishna's not far away. He's already the foundation of everything that supports us. We just have to see it. He's the heart behind every kindness. He's the friend who never leaves. I think when I read this, I think of my husband, who is just like unlimitedly supportive and loving. And I met my husband right after I got into spiritual life. And before that, I didn't really have the greatest of relationships. And I'd really feel that Krishna, I feel like Krishna sent my husband to me as a little gift. And I feel Krishna's love expressed through my husband. And we can probably all relate to this with different people in our lives, that love us, that support us. I can think of 10 other people, friends. I have a really good friend who I feel like is just very connected. I feel like she's always thinking of Krishna. And sometimes she'll give me some advice or support, and I really feel like this is Krishna talking through her. We can see that. We experience that. We just have to acknowledge it. What do you guys think of that? Yeah. Okay, we can move on here. Let's
Oh,
move.
I
Oh,
will.
yeah, Maria, please.
Yeah, I went to a kirtan at the Yoga Factory last night. It was really awesome. And there were so many beautiful people there, and they were all so loving and kind and thoughtful. And I was just appreciating all that. And I was thinking, wow, how am I so lucky? And then it like hit me like, oh, this is Krishna working through them.
Mm, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of my friends has become, when I first met her, she was just so nurturing. Like she was constantly cooking for me. And the first time I went to her house, she sent me home with these just like gifts of like saris or, and I feel like her love brought me in closer to God. And now I see it. I see, it's like it's God's love through her. But that's the process. This God's when we allow ourselves to be instruments for God, for God's love, people feel it. And we feel it. We have experiences like that. And it was a love that I felt like it wasn't conditional. Like I didn't feel like she was doing it because she wanted something from me and in that way it really was such was such a pillar for my faith. So this is really an important part of spiritual life, but we can all feel it. So nice. Thank you. Anybody else want to share? Okay, we'll move on to 19. 19's fun. It's especially fun when we compare it to 18. So let's move to 19 and we'll discuss 19. Whenever you're ready, Stella.
Tapami aham varsham nikramami or utstri jamicha ritam cheva mrityuscha sad asakaham Arjuna. O Arjuna, I give heat, and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me.
Thank you. So now Krishna's really expanding our vision of who he is, even more. So he gives heat, he sends rain, he holds it back. He's immortality, he's also death. So in other words, we consider good, and we consider everything that we consider good and everything that we consider bad, it all connects back to Krishna. So in the previous verse, Krishna focused mostly on the comforting side of God. The shelter, the friend, the support. But now Krishna is saying something that can feel a little bit harder. He's saying he's present not only in the pleasant parts of life, but also in the painful one. Also in the painful parts of life. So Krishna's behind nature. We depend on the sun for warmth and light. Without it, there's no life. We know that. Krishna says the heat, that's me. We depend on the rain for crops and survival. Krishna says the rain, also me. But then we tend to think sunshine good, drought bad. Gentle rain good, flood bad. But Krishna's challenging us to even rise above that duality. And the point here to see is, something like a flood that can be very destructive. When we see that, what we should really see here is the sheer power behind it. It's awe-inspiring. We have some pretty sophisticated technology here. We have, like, our fire stations have these massive hoses, and we can really put a lot of water on something if we want. But nobody can release as much water as God. Right? Nobody can release as much water from the sky as God can. I mean, this is just when we see things like this, we should just be in awe. It reminds us that there's a force far greater than any humans can control. Again, when we like to think that we're pretty fancy, right? If we just look around, we see that there's far greater forces out there than we could even like muster. And then, Krishna says he's life, Krishna's life, and he's also death. And this is where it gets even more real. Krishna says he's immortality. So he's the spiritual life we ultimately belong to. He descends on earth to give us these messages so that we can be immortal, so that we can live eternally with him. He gives us that. But he's also death. He's also this unstoppable force that ends every material empire. And this is kind of amazing also in itself. Again, for all the technological advances that we have, nobody has been able to figure out how to keep the material body from dying. And this is a power beyond, again, we can even really fathom or understand. And death doesn't care how rich or famous or powerful someone is. It's just like one moment, it's gone. And you don't even know when it's going to be. It could be any time, for any reason. And everything that you've clung on to, it's just it slips away. This is pretty amazing. This is, I mean, this power, it's Krishna, the power of death. I think I've talked about my dad before. He's an alcoholic, and he's like very much so, drinks quite a bit, like sun up to sundown. It's really quite sad. Um, but he's having a lot of health issues, and we're not sure exactly what they are because he doesn't really tell us, but we suspect that it's his liver. And it's really sad. It's really sad. And this philosophy, this Krishna consciousness philosophy, I can't imagine, going through some of the toughest parts of life without it. To see somebody that you love just suffer so much. Even though in this case, it's self-inflicted. Just this philosophy of life, we have to understand that eventually everybody that we love, our loved ones, our parents, our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles, that they're going to be taken from us. You know, and and to the degree that we've cultivated a relationship with God, and we've endeavored to understand this system that He's created, this karmic system that He's created for us, and we've put our trust in Him. Right? We've started to surrender a little bit to His plan. It never becomes easier. It's always going to be hard when these things happen, but we have so much more shelter through it. We have so much more shelter. We feel almost like taken care of through it. It's like it still hurts, but we feel taken care of. Yeah. And this is a beautiful thing, because the point of the system is to turn us back to God. I mean, gosh, when I look at my dad and the struggles he has and what he's seeking shelter, what he sought shelter in his life, I get it. It's just to some degree. It's like there's no other shelter for us than God. And to the degree that we think there is, we will suffer. Yeah. So this is amazing, that He gives us this opportunity. And we see firsthand people that don't take the opportunity. And we see the suffering that comes with that. Because if we take this opportunity for immortality that He's offering us, even when our material body starts to decay, which it will, we will be immortal, right? We'll have it will experience pain, but in that pain there'll be a sweetness. And this is what Krishna's offering to us. And this is pretty amazing. I mean, for those who ignore Him, He appears as death, continuing their journey through birth and death. That's the cycle, that's the process. And there's going to be suffering, and there's going to be a lot of fear, because that's what material consciousness is. We see that firsthand. Right? So let us use this. We're all here in this class today. We're all hearing these things. Like, let us use this as an opportunity to really make that effort in our lives to see with spiritual vision. See the good as God's grace, as God's mercy. See the bad as God's mercy. Right? What can we learn from this? What is this teaching me? How can this experience bring me a little bit closer to God? So this is what God offers. It's the same God, different experiences based on our consciousness. Okay, I think I had Stella and then Katie. Stella, what are your thoughts?
Let Katie go.
Katie? Okay. Katie.
Oh, hi, Krishna. Yeah, I also have had some struggles lately with an alcoholic family member who's my sister, one of my two sisters, and we have a brother. And yeah, and she was living in Oregon for a long time, but she's been back here. And there's a lot of like disconnection that she feels between herself and other family members, and that doesn't quite exist between the rest of us. And it's been useful to try to like see the lessons and just try to get some advice and approach it from a really Krishna conscious viewpoint. Like my teacher suggested, try to just stay in the present with her, because of course you're thinking, wow, this is just like the past. Oh, I know exactly how this will be in the future. And more than likely those things are correct and true, you know. She's 47, and I know like the data shows if you've been drinking since your teens, it's very unlikely that you'll, you know, get through it in this lifetime, possibly, you know. And I think one thing it's really helping me with is something that I've struggled with so much for my whole life, and with boundaries. And so we're coming up on some like yuckier moments where I'm just like expressing that a little more, but in like a very like neutral, like do way. But sometimes it's really hard. Like for example, we had a situation last week where we were talking about her feeling disconnected, and she was saying like everyone is so disconnected, and I you know wanted to be supportive, but I also wanted to be truthful. And I was like, you know, I really don't, that's not really my experience. Like, you know, I do feel connected to all of you, and I think some of the things you're thinking like aren't exactly what people are thinking, that puts the pressure on that, you know, like nobody's pressuring either of us to have babies, like it's okay. And then later, like I wrote her a text that was like, I love you. I feel connected to you. Like just trying to like, you know, be supportive. And she writes back, you're obviously angry. And I was like, what? You know? So like sometimes it's really, really challenging. And it really does like make that quick emotive reaction for me. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what I'm sharing about it right here, but like I feel you, because I'm right in the middle of that right now. Like last night we also had an awkward conversation that I was like, you know, and I'm saying, "Yes, I'll help you move your stuff." Yes, and she's going, "No, never mind, never mind." And I'm like, "I don't what is happening? I'm telling you yes, and you're like only hearing no." But instead of like pushing it, I was just like, "Okay, okay." You know, because it's also hard, because then you catch her at different points of the day where her out, like either she's like already pretty drunk, or she's getting there, or she's fiending. Like it's difficult, you know, to like have conversations at different times. um yeah, but it also, I mean, I can see how it's useful for me to have like this material things to work with, to um yeah, to work on my boundaries, and a way to like be more like accepting and compassionate, even when it's really kind of hard.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally feel you. You got to call
Yeah.
before 8 a.m. or you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like my dad has been such a gift to my spiritual life, because just like you said, we have to learn. We have to, if we want to survive, we have to learn real detachment with the heart
Mm,
of compassion. We
yeah.
can't just like throw the baby out with the bathwater and walk away and say, I don't care, because we still do. Like
Yeah.
you just can't do that. And that's not really healing. But we have to also learn to kind of let go of any expectations that we have, because we don't have any control over their
Mm-hmm.
decisions, their choices, how irrational they are. But we still have to show up and love them in a way that's still honoring ourselves. And so we have
Yeah.
to love ourselves, like you said, and create those boundaries. But we have to figure out what loving them actually looks like in a kind of love that is void of expectations. And it's having this philosophy, it's such a gift. I mean, it's the only way to do it. I tried so many things. I tried so many things, and we can't love them because of our relationship with them, because our relationship with them, if we're being honest, is just painful from an
Mm,
ego perspective. It's just
mm-hmm.
painful. But we
Yeah.
have to love them as a child of God. Yeah, and we have to see their suffering like that. I mean, that's been my prayer for my dad the past since this all kind of went down, is just like, please relieve his suffering. If this is his time, let him go with remembering you and
Mm.
and minimizing the suffering, because at this point that can be all that's left. And accepting people's choices are different than yours. They say that addiction, it's like the ultimate spiritual disconnection. I mean, they feel disconnected. Yeah, they do. In their
Mm.
lives, in their eyes, everything is disconnected because they're so disconnected. And the reality is there's not much we can do about that until they decide, that they want something different. And I've thought about that too, because I would love to talk to my dad, like, okay, Dad, now's the time. This is your last chance. But at the same time, it's like I have to accept his decisions, his choices. I can't play God, like I've been trying to do my whole life. It's like that's where he is, and that's what God does for us. If we say, God, I don't want you, I want this, he says, okay.
Hmm.
And sometimes we have to do that and let that be okay. Let that and let our prayers, be our compassion and our love for them, because that's all we can do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Stella, did you want to share something?
I just want to add to that, as painful as, those reactions are from folks, and it's not only addiction, but like people who are just mean or
Mm,
it's all coming from their own suffering,
mm,
and it's really, we shouldn't, I mean, we take it personally because we can't help it, and especially if you know the person and they know your buttons, and but really it's just an indication of their suffering. I mean, and if we can, I find that I can rev up my own compassion for them when I realize that, when they say, well, when you say I love you and they say, oh, you're just being angry with me, like that's
mm,
sarcastic, and that hurts. But that's actually, they're angry, like they're just projecting onto you what they themselves, are feeling. And that's even in greater things like our nation. I mean, there's so many people projecting all this like suffering and hate onto others because they themselves are suffering. But Krishna is so kind that they'll come to even those people in the form of death. Sometimes, when, there's definitely times when I feel like, how do these people keep living and doing harm, just day after day, And it's like, but Krishna is so kind, he'll come to them as death.
mm,
And uh in their own, when they need it. And
mm,
Yamaraj will take care of all of that stuff. So it's, yeah, I agree. This bhakti path, I don't know how people do without it.
mm.
Like
Yeah.
you, yeah. No, I feel for both of you, and that we had also a friend who died of alcoholism just a couple years ago, and we're still in touch with his kids, and the kids, actually one of the son said to Kalachandji that we were the only people who really saw his dad, the good and the bad, but still
Mm,
loved him. And to me,
Wow.
that's like, if we can, because we had boundaries too. Oh, we kept safe boundaries with him. But that's, for someone to see that, that's what we can do with this path. We can do that. We can see the good and the bad and still love.
mm.
And this path allows us, even if we only act as if we know that that's the thing, and then the feeling comes in.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
100%. Yeah, Kalachari.
Me too, yeah. Um, Thank you both for sharing that very much. And I'm just so sorry to hear the suffering that you've both had to go through. But I'm also very inspired by, I mean, you've found a partner that is so loving and supportive and like all the opposites of that. And you are, a mother and you're both parents to this beautiful child, and you're giving so much love and you're sharing all of this with all of us. And I just find that very inspiring to to turn that story and your story into an outpouring of love and wisdom. Um, I also just wanted to mention how all the things you're speaking today, that it it it's like you can't argue with them. They're not claims. They're just like descriptions of how things are, and it's like they're unarguable. Anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I realized a long time ago how much the resentment I'd had from my dad was hurting me. And I remember just praying to like release it. And spiritual life is the answer because you learn to love in a much deeper, wider way, a way that is not centered on you and your ego and your feelings. And it's the only way. Without it, we're just going to be subject to the ups and downs of material life. We're going to feel happy, we're going to feel sad, we're going to have friends, we're going to have enemies. We're going to like them because they compliment my ego. I'm going to dislike them because they spoke out of line and are jerks. But it's like, do we really want to be stuck on that? It's just like we suffer when we tie ourselves to that. So it's a deep calling, and it's a tall order. It's a tough thing to love somebody, not because of the way that they treat you, but because they're children of God, and to see their suffering, like Stella said. See even when somebody's treating you poorly, be able to see their suffering, and not just see their suffering, but then have compassion for them. That's such a high spiritual call, but that's why we're here. And that is really, if we can do that, we can really be conduits of love for ourselves and for others. It's really a beautiful thing. Anita, what do you think?
Sorry, I'm driving, so bear with me. So I wanted to share that, and I want to get a better understanding from a spiritual perspective on a similar situation, which we all have. My brother-in-law is an alcoholic, and I understand all that has been said, that it's his suffering, and but what I am trying to understand is that my sister-in-law, she has to take care of my mother-in-law, and because she can't walk at the moment, something happened and she can't walk. And she also has to take care of my brother-in-law, who is the alcoholic. And most of the time, when he's sober, he's good. When he's drunk, there's nothing she can do. And he is like creating so much additional stress and work for her, because he can't do anything for himself or to help with his mom or his sister. And he doesn't see it. And I'm saying, okay, that's his karma, that he has to suffer. But what is her karma? That she has to bear all this responsibility of him plus the mom, and none of the other siblings, including my husband, my sister and other sister-in-laws, they're not there to share this responsibility with her. Mm-hmm. And it's so difficult for her. And I'm trying my best from a spiritual perspective to understand. And sometimes it's really hard to say, okay, it's her karma too. So maybe you can share some insight into that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Anita. Yeah, such a real situation. Um, and I can't speak to, is this your sister-in-law? Or is it your sister?
My sister-in-law, my husband's sister.
Your husband's sister. Okay. Yeah, I can't speak to her unique situation, as I obviously don't know her, but I can say that I've been in that situation where I for several years was dating an alcoholic, and I could tell you that I got something out of it. Like it made me feel like that's how I got my worth by taking care of him. It's this codependent dynamic that I kind of developed as a kid and then rode out into my adult years until I realized how terrible it was and how and my responsibility in the whole thing. But it was my karma. I mean, it was my karma. It I was also dysfunctional. I was also sick, and that was my karma. And so I know that it's hard to see things like that, but I mean, I actually I look at my dad now and I have so much compassion for him and I say, oh, that I have to tell myself that, this is his karma. He's suffering. This is the way he's dealt with it. Codependent people, the same. People that are in those situations where they're taking care of people and that are addicts. I mean, it's a spiritual disconnect. I mean, we need Krishna and we're searching for him hopelessly. And when we don't know what else to do, we find him, we look for him in other things and it creates more suffering.
Yeah.
That's been my experience.
Thank
But
you.
yeah.
Thank
Hope
you.
that helps. Maria, you're on mute, Maria.
Yeah, my sister has dementia. So it's kind of similar, even though different. But she doesn't know reality at all anymore. And her middle son has taken her in and is taking care of her. And I go visit her once a week. And last time I was there, she said, "Where is Brett?" And Brett's her son, and he works from home a lot. And so he's, standing there on the computer. And I said, "Oh, Brett's right there." And she said, "That's not Brett." And I said, "Yeah, that's your son." She said, "Brett's not my son. He's my husband." And then I just thought, oh, yeah, I can't come from a logic point of view with her at all.
Oh,
Yeah, so then you just have to come from pure compassion.
pure compassion. Yeah. And know that, like, even if you're in one of those situations, like sometimes we have to take care of family members that are just sick, that, and it's not their fault. They're not, addicts. They're just sick. We have to take care of them. But to the degree that we take shelter of God, we can even free ourselves from that karma. It's really, that's the only way out. And, we may still be doing that service, that duty, but our consciousness will be in such a beautiful place. And that's what Krishna comes to offer us. That's what Krishna comes to offer us. And one last thing, this just made me feel better. Maybe it'll make some of you feel better. I was listening to the Bhagavad Gita yesterday, and it was the scene where Prahlad, after all that he went through with his dad, his dad was killed by Hiranyakashipu, or his dad was killed by Nrsimhadev, and he prayed to Nrsimhadev. He prayed for his dad, to pardon his sins, and it was such a beautiful, compassionate moment. But then Nrsimhadev says, 21 generations, your entire ancestral line, demoniac line, are their sins are gone. Like you just like whatever devotional service we're doing now, your family is benefiting 21 lines back. That's really the most that we can do for them. You want to do something for your family, you want to do something for this person that's addicted or this person that's suffering, devotional service that will directly benefit your family. 21 lines back, we see in the Bhagavatam. So that will attract Krishna's attention. And that's what we can do. And sometimes that's all we can do. And that's a lot. I mean, man, that really made me smile when I heard that yesterday and I was listening to Bhagavatam. Okay. Do we have any more shares or do you guys want to move on?
If there's time at the end, I'll share something brief, but I would like to hear more Gita more than myself.
Okay, well, maybe we'll do one more verse and then we'll have some time for your share. Does that sound okay? Okay, let's move to 20. When you're ready, Stella.
Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights.
Okay, let's break this down here. Let's break this down. Okay, so in this verse, Krishna's talking about people who very strictly follow the Vedas and perform big elaborate rituals. And part of those rituals include drinking this thing called soma. Many of us have probably heard of this. And it's not like a margarita or a glass of wine. Soma is described as a sacred drink. It's part of a yajna. It's, the sacrifices that they did. And it gives someone the spiritual credit or the piety needed to reach the higher heavenly planets. It's kind of amazing. Like you can think of Soma as kind of like a karma boosting nectar. It's like the ultimate party drink, but not a party drink at all. You contrast this with, when we talk about like alcohol, it's an escape to feel happy, and then it ends up doing the opposite to people. It becomes this big depressant. They become, mad, essentially. It's like this self-chosen madness, this material intoxication. Soma is much different. It takes the consciousness up. So where alcohol puts you in the mode of ignorance, Soma puts you in the mode of goodness. It can feel pleasurable and uplifting, but it's all within the boundaries of Dharma. It's kind of amazing. So people who drink this as part of sacrifices, they're following scripture. They're becoming purified of their past mistakes. They're gaining pious credits. Okay, but here's the key. Here's the key. What are they using that purity for? And this is a question for us all to ask ourselves, because sometimes our relationship with God becomes, again, more of one like Amazon Prime. Like, please do this for me. Please don't let this person pass. Please let me have a little bit more time with this person. And I'm kind of speaking from, my own experience right now, right? Which is okay. This isn't like a bad thing. But we really want to move to the place where our deepest motivation in life is love for God. It's love for God. It's not even the desire to go to heaven and to enjoy all of these pleasures. I just read the other day, it's like tens of thousands. You can enjoy your senses tens of thousands more times than we enjoy our senses here on earth. As I think about the thing you like to eat most. I had this banana pudding the other day. I was like, wow, that just made me so happy. Imagine like getting like tens of thousand times more happiness from your senses. Okay, this is heaven. So yeah, okay, that can be attractive in one sense. Better pleasures, longer life, divine comforts, you know. But this isn't real devotion. This isn't what we should really be going for. And love for God. If heaven is tens of thousand times better enjoying the senses, love for God is like millions of trillions times more satisfying to the heart, not just like these temporary senses. It's to the heart. So this is what we really want to aspire for. And people that are aspiring for heaven or higher pleasures, through the demigods or what have you, they're not quite there. Their devotion might be real, but their vision is still limited. It's like saying, God, help me get the good stuff, rather than, God, I just want you. And the more that we come to put our faith in Krishna, and we feel shelter in Krishna, Krishna becomes our best friend. We start to transfer over to this place of, God, I just want you. I don't need you to be my order supplier anymore. I trust you. I see you. I just want you. So Krishna is gently shifting this conversation here. Don't just aim for higher material happiness. Aim for something higher than material happiness. Because even something like heavenly enjoyment, it still is temporary. And just like every vacation ends and every high fades, life in heaven is going to be the same. And that's exactly what the next verse describes. So this is what we kind of want to start to shift over to. This God, I want you, not God, help me get the good stuff. And we've probably experienced this. Many of us who have children have experienced this kind of shift with your kids, where you feel like your kids they just want to be with you. They're not like, okay, I'll hang out with mom so that she'll let me go to the movies with my friends. Right? There's like a different quality of relationship when they just want you. And then this is what God wants from us. God just wants us. And he gives us all the opportunities for us to realize this. And in the verse before this, if you remember, we talked about the different God realizations. There was like 3 different steps. One, seeing God in the universe, and then realizing that, hey, there's some organization here. There's some higher controllers. This is where you start to see the demigods. You have a relationship with the demigods. And then the next is oneness, seeing that you're a spiritual soul and that you're qualitatively the same as God. Right? So God is, through these realizations, he's just kind of pulling us in. He's pulling us closer. If we bring this back to seeing the universe, all its forces, its energy, its power as God. Krishna appreciates that as a beginning, a first step in God realizations. But he clarifies, just like we talked about in the last verses, all of this power is me, and all of this power leads to me. I'm the source, I'm the destination. So little by little, he's helping us connect those dots. Whether we see spirit or matter, or whether we see creation or destruction, whether we see life or death, he's training us to have this godlike vision. Everything comes from God. It's all connected to God. God's the ultimate goal of all of this. So this is ultimately where we're going with all of this. This is where we're going with all of this. Okay, and actually maybe we'll do one more verse just because it fits really nicely into this verse, and then we'll hear Janardanan's story. How does that sound? Is that okay? We do one more verse? Okay, let's do one more. And that'll just conclude this section. 21.
When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the 3 Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death.
Thank you. So here, Krishna's just continuing his point. So if we imagine someone who does everything right, who does all the rituals, all the pious activities, they earn their way to heaven, which is like amazing, right? They enjoy this huge upgrade in life. Their comforts are greater, their pleasures are richer, everything's better. It's like the five-star all-inclusive resort version of material happiness. This is heaven. Okay. But just like a five-star all-inclusive resort, you can't live there forever. And eventually you're gonna run out of money. You know, that's what happens. It doesn't last. Their good karmic bank account slowly drains day by day. And then once those spiritual savings run out, they're right back here on earth. Right? Back to dealing with the stress, the competition, the bills, the responsibilities, the loss. I mean, it just goes on and on. You know, this whole mortal experience. It's like taking that dream vacation, and then everybody knows after that dream vacation, you get back Monday, you're back at your desk, and you're like, okay, back to reality. Nothing's changed except now I actually like really miss that vacation. So I'm suffering a little bit more. You know, that's Krishna's core message here. Even the best material happiness is temporary. You know, even successful people who seem to just have it all, celebrities, athletes, influencers, you know, understand they're just flying high on a limited supply of past good karma, which is eventually going to run out. And when it does, no amount of talent, fame, or wealth is going to protect them from suffering. They're still going to go through all that suffering because this is the nature of the material world. We have to understand this. Even if you're like, man, I just want to, the purpose of my life is to make money and so that I can enjoy. Okay, even if you make all the money in the world and you enjoy, you're still going to experience suffering. There's no way out of it. The only thing that can provide us a little bit of shelter is God. And to the degree that our relationship with God is strong, to the degree that we're attached to God and detached from material energy, right? That's the only thing that's really going to protect us, the shift in consciousness. And even if you go to heaven, you know, you get good pious credits, you go to heaven, you're going to get right back on this fierce wheel of life. Right? Sometimes it's going to be good and you're going to come back down. So Krishna's saying, why spend all your energy chasing something that you're guaranteed to lose? It's like being offered a job with endless salary, benefits, security, and saying, I'd rather take this short-term gig that's going to end next week. Like who would do that? And so this is what Krishna's offering us. This is what Krishna's offering us. You know, and even though most people today aren't performing these Vedic rituals to reach these higher planets, this mentality still exists. And if I can get the right house, career, relationship, status, then I'll finally be happy. And then we waste our lives away chasing after those things. Just a little bit higher in my career. And this relationship, not so great. I'm going to find my perfect person. Right? My person. I'm going to find them. And then before you know it, it's like, wow, at best, I have 30 years left of my life. And you know, I've just been chasing after one fleeting happiness after another. So it's because it's no matter how wonderful these things are, we're still just sitting on an iceberg in a warm ocean. And it might feel stable, you know, it might look solid, but eventually it's going to melt. So Krishna's inviting us to be a little bit more intelligent with our desires, not to think like, how can I upgrade my temporary situation? You know, but to think, what kind of happiness actually lasts? You're not going to prevent this iceberg from melting. It's going to melt. Right? But what can we find that's actually going to last? Right? That boat in the ocean that's like forever. Right? Why settle for less than the ultimate? Or better yet, get out of the ocean completely. Get out of the ocean completely. Why chase what fades when we're made for what doesn't? You know, we're spirit souls, we're eternal. Why are we so caught up in all this material energy? We're so confused. And the beautiful surprise here, that Krishna will explain in the next verse, that this eternal option, this spiritual destination, is actually even much easier and more accessible than all of these complicated rituals even. And all that he's asking for us, from us, is something that we already have. We don't have to over endeavor. We don't have to buy. We don't have to work for. He's just looking for a sincere heart pointed towards him. Every single one of us has that, and it's capable of doing that if we choose. That's all it is. That's all the difference. It's just a choice. And that is all that I have for you today. Thank you all for being on this journey with me. And let's hear from Janardhan.
Thank you so much, Radha Priya,
Pretty.
Radha Priti. First, I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances unto all the assembled devotees here, and thank you because I get to hear about and talk about the activities of the Lord and start my day with it. And thank you for sharing such,
Oh, you're going out a little bit, Janardhan.
and really intimate and difficult things. And I just,
Janardhan, you're going out. You're going out a
will
little
you
bit.
pull over, Andy? Yes, you can. It's okay. Thank you.
No, that's it.
Thank
We
you.
don't get to hear. I was looking forward to hearing.
I'll see if I can. Apparently my uncle can't pull over. I don't know. But
Okay.
long story short, I actually do a lot of drugs. I've been doing a lot of drugs, and it's horrible. And I'm actually, I went to India and I have a guru, and it's not that I'm a bad person, and it's not that I do any harm to anybody, but it's exactly like that Anita said. Like, what about this mother who gave, and the sister, and where is the justice and why? And the truth is, um, I don't see my daughter, and I just surrendered to Guru. I just surrendered, and I just did my absolute best to do my best in one way or another by the mercy. Last night, I actually just destroyed all of them. I'm not addicted to anything. There is no addiction to drugs. It's ignorance, because from association with the elements, you become attached, lust, anger, wrath, delusion, loss of memory. And I forgot, like Sri Upanishad says in the invocation, God's completely perfect. And even though so many parts come out of him, he remains the complete whole. And as an infinite, in small portion of that, I actually can never be less than I am. I just forgot. Just like in the beginning, we all had hangovers and whatever, and we were young and youthful. And we could just work through that little bit of uncomfort because that was natural. And we forgot that out of delusion and attachment to what's not right. And actually, like Vedas said in his heart space, there's no bad. There's nothing bad. Everything's exactly as it needs to be, and embrace it and surrender and take that instruction that's given in that surrender, like Arjuna does when he's crying. Thank all of you for just keeping things so fresh and relevant,
Wow.
I'm about to be moving to the temple, right? I've gotten sober 1,000 times. I go in 3 days. What am I doing? And last night, it just reached its head. I can't do this anymore. I just got rid of it, and it's not even bad, But truth is, nobody's doing anything wrong. They just forgot Krishna and what they're doing, and they just become misled because Krishna loves us enough to give us free will, and we come to this world to experience that, because we have the quality of the Lord to want to be the Lord, but we're not the Lord. But he loves us enough to let us play. Just like we'd never tell a baby not to have fun, or we shouldn't, as it's doing all its little dancing and whatever, it is not doing it right, but it's doing it. And, thank all of you for just being amazing, and your struggle and making it stronger, because the mind is so tricky, and I'm actually just like utilizing everything I can to just stay reminded that my intelligence is actually working against me, that I'm not my intelligence, that I'm not, it's in the mode of passion. It's that intelligence that's animalistic, that's reaction, is in ignorance. That intelligence which sees things as good or bad is in passion, and that which does it without expectation to result out of higher duty or higher authority is in goodness. And I had AI. I was like, stop talking to me. Only speak in Bhagavad Gita verses and tell me something I don't know about myself. And that's kind of like what, really just kind of pushed it. It was like, if you do I didn't expect it. It's like, if you do one more drug, you will sabotage the temple again.
Wow.
And you will mock everything you're trying to do. And I didn't expect it to say that, because I told myself that it doesn't matter. In illusion,
Into
in
AI.
attachment, you don't have the capacity to focus on what's important when this body, which is just a conglomerate of different actions you've made,
Yeah.
just like AI is a compilation of the commands you give it. It's just ignorance, but we are soul, and we can reach back to that. And it's amazing that so many people and stuff, and my mom's struggling right now, and I want to be present. But I was really scared, actually, for no reason,
Wow.
But yeah, I just really wanted to share that, and I'm really inspired, and I don't think anything's random. I really don't. And about the crying, when I get intense, usually it's when I check into probation. I always cry. And I don't know what it is, but yeah, I surrender to all of you, and thank you for listening. This is my Uncle Andy.
Wow.
Boy,
Hi, Uncle Andy. Good
Yeah.
morning. You're so fortunate to have such a wonderful support system. It's
Yeah,
Krishna.
really. But that's all. And thank you all for listening. And I loved all of your shares. And the other gentleman sitting in the robe, I think. I don't know. He looked very comfortable. But I loved his share. And thank you.
Yes, thank you. And you're such a sincere soul. You may feel like you're struggling, but you're so sincere. Krishna's going to throw you a lifeboat here. And it looks like he is. You're getting ready to move into the temple. So we're all praying for you, and it's inspiring. Honestly, your testimony is so inspiring. You're a very fortunate soul to have so much mercy.
I have a daughter I haven't met. And it's not because I'm like a bad person, I thought. But it's actually Krishna's mercy, because it's a lot of pain. And just like your story, or what you shared at the beginning, my mom was there, and she's like, you need to talk to her about it, so yeah, it's really merciful, and it's really great. And it's crazy, because last night at 6 o'clock I was totally, just like, I just had no clue. I just had no clue last night, and I just feel so relieved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Janardhan,
So
and I
thank
hope
you.
you keep coming and be a part of our community, and we can be with you on your journey. That's all we're doing here, is just trying to walk each other home. So I'm happy you're
Jai.
here. Thank you.
Let's walk together, everyone.
Let's walk together. And Jay or George, I just see you're on. Welcome. So nice to see you, my friend.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Stacy's Shakti is had a rough day yesterday. Rough.
I heard.
I don't think she slept at all last night. So this morning she's she was on the couch like out. I was like, okay, no. She's
Oh,
no, yeah, yeah. And I was super like it was super flu that whatever is going around
it's bad.
is yeah, yeah. We were in the ER for about I don't know 4 hours, four and a
Oh
half
my
hours
gosh.
yesterday. But she got her antibiotics, so that's good. So
And
yeah,
you're headed to
just
work. Is
a lot of
that what you're
rest.
doing?
Yeah, on the way to
Yeah.
work, I was like, you know what,
Okay.
let me just put you on in the car
We're
and
so happy
listen.
to have you. See you.
Oh, always a pleasure. But yeah, I was like, I'm gonna let her sleep this morning
Yeah. Tell her
because
we miss her and we're praying for her.
we'll do. I mean, hopefully, next couple of days she'll be back up and running and 100% because I know you know she likes she's a go go go, right?
Yeah.
So, but I told her I'm like, you know what? Their body is telling you this is your time to just kind of reset, relax, and
Definitely.
recharge, and you don't always have to go go go.
Good husband.
I mean, like
Such a
I'm the same way too, but you gotta have balance, right?
definitely.
And
Definitely.
yeah, I know I think I came in somewhere in the middle, so I was just kind of listening uh, to everyone. Always love to hear everyone's share, and yeah, yeah, it's and I think trying to remember what you guys were talking about. I remember having a thought of, nobody's perfect, and we all have to have empathy for, for what people are going through because a lot of times we don't know what someone else is going through, right? Um,
Definitely.
Even I I'm part of this like anti-bullying movement up here in Canada as well, and you know, a couple of years back. Um, there are a few other like artists or musicians, and we would go around elementary and high schools in Ontario, in like the Greater Toronto area, and just talk about how when you're getting bullied, it is not who like if you're the one getting bullied, it's not your fault, and yeah, it's you have to have empathy for the one doing the bullying because there's forces, things that are happening in their lives that are making them act out that way.
Yeah.
So we never know what they're going through, but also from those that are getting bullied, a lot of times they think it's their fault that they're getting bullied, but it's not,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
But coming from that place of just empathy and kindness, and nobody's perfect. We all have things that go on that affect us in different ways, but it's just being able to recognize that, right?
Wow. Yeah. That's so intelligent. Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful story
but
and
anyway, yeah,
lessons.
just want to tell you, just want to tell you she's out for the count. Hopefully, not so much longer, but yeah,
Thank you.
the flu is hitting Shakti.
Aw. Well, we love her and we love you. And thank you so much for the wisdom and for being with us,
It's
Bhakti George.
We'll
always an
keep her
honor
in our
to
prayers.
share the space. Thank
Yes.
you.
We'll keep her
Thank
in
you
our
all.
prayers.
Yes.
I will let her know. I'll let her know because I'm pretty sure when she wakes up, she's gonna be sad that she missed the call. But
Aw.
I'm like, rest.
Aw.
That's number one thing is let your body recharge, re-energize. Um, just so she can be her Shakti self.
Definitely. Definitely. Uh, well, thank you all. Thank you all for coming and divine couple. Yes, you're the divine couple. We have two divine couples here on the call. And we'll see you in the new year. We'll see you in the new year.
Hey, Bo.